What's up, guys? Well, guess what we're going to do today? Yep, we're going to do another upgrade to the motorhome. Now, this is something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. But these are a couple of interior lights, 12-volt lights, that we're going to take out the old and put in the new. Details coming up on RV Street. Okay, let's get right to it. So, like we've been telling you for quite a while now, we're going into the 4th year owning this coach, and we have done a ton of upgrades. You can actually go up and see, I did a 3-part series, part 1, part 2, part 3. It covers all, 90% of all the stuff we did from the time we bought it to date. But one thing that we haven't done was change out the factory 12-volt lights, the one that's over the booth eating area, and then the one right next to it, the wall mount that's above the couch, is a reading light. Joanie and I both really hated them. They were old looking, they were outdated. So we went on the hunt for something more modern and contemporary, because that's kind of what we like. And plus, as you saw, we've done a lot of upgrades of other things with the brushed nickel. So we wanted to find a modern, contemporary brushed nickel type of fixtures. So we ended up finding these. This is the double unit. This is what's going to go over the booth area. And then we're going to do the matching single fixture that's going to go right above the reading area, above the love seat. Now, both of these lights, as all interior lights in a motorhome or an RV, are going to be on 12 volt. I'm very familiar with 12 volt. I'm not worried or scared about working around 12 volt. There's only 2 wires. As long as you never touch both of them at the same time, you're not going to get shocked. But if you're afraid and you want extra caution, right inside the door you'll have your main battery or salesman switch, your house battery switch. You can turn it off, and if that's not good enough for you, you can undo the negative battery post on your house batteries, and that'll kill all the power to all the coach, which would include your refrigerator and all kinds of other things. So in my opinion, and with my skill set, and this is really an easy DIY job, you don't need to, in my opinion, turn off all the battery power. It's 12 volt, and I'll show you how we just handle those wires safely. One other safety factor you'll notice, I'm wearing no jewelry, no watch. So anytime you are handling electricity, you always get rid of anything metal on your hands that could cause an accident. So let's go inside the coach and let's get started doing this install. So we're in the coach now, and we have 2 to replace. We have the one over the booth here, like I told you outside, and then we have this smaller wall mount. They're going to mount the exact same way. I'm only going to show you how to do this one, and then you just duplicate this process with this one over here. I wanted to say a few things here first. As I have said in previous upgrade maintenance videos, our part 1, 2, and 3, when we first got this coach, we did a ton of different upgrades, one of them of which we replaced every single bulb inside and outside with LEDs, because LEDs they use a fraction of the amperage and make your batteries last a whole lot longer, like if you're boondocking or something. Plus, it doesn't keep the coaches hot, and you have to run your AC as much. Well, when you buy these kits, they come with incandescent bulbs. These are standard 921 incandescent bulbs, and like I said, we've changed all ours to LEDs. So we're just going to get rid of those, and I happen to have extra 921 bulbs when we replaced all of our other ones here in the coach. Inside the coach alone, like I said, I think it was 78 bulbs, 5 different types, 5 different mounts, and one of those mounts was a 921. So let's get started on this actual install. As you can see here on our older unit, the first thing I had to decide on what kind of a unit we wanted. We not only wanted something more contemporary, but as you can see, I had this horizontal mount. So I had to measure, because I knew that once I removed this, this is going to be discolored underneath there. This coach is 8 years old. So I needed to make sure that the mount was at least this big or a little bigger to cover the old wood. What we're going to do now is we're going to undo these two nuts right here. We're going to drop this mount down and expose the wiring, and we're going to show you how we're going to wire up this new one, and also describe going over the bracket on how you mount this to that bracket. Okay, so there we go. Here is the wiring here. We'll go over that in just a second. I'm going to move these two glass bulbs over here so I don't do something stupid and break one of them. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I've tried to take off these wire nuts, and these are permanent wire nuts. They will not untwist and come off like they normally do or should. So we're going to go ahead and cut them. Now what I've done is I've gone over and I've turned off the salesman switch. But again, as long as you don't touch any of these two wires together, you're going to be okay. Then I'm going to come up here, and this is going to be the main power line. So I just cut that and cut that. I continued to pull these wires out, and now I have this white wire. Remember, we took this yellow wire and we cut it right here at the switch. Well, the new fixture has the two wires here that tie the two fixtures together, and it has one white. So this white wire is going to attach up into here. What we're going to do is we are going to cut that wire, and now we have these two here. And just for a safety precaution, I am going to put on a little wire nut on each one of those, because I have to unscrew this bracket and get the orientation of these bolts wide enough to mount to the new light. I'm going to take out the screws of this bracket here so I can get this in front of me. And if you guys don't have a DeWalt screw gun like this here, this is an older model. I put a new model down below because I don't know where, some of you guys are brand new, you're trying to get your toolkit together. Let me tell you, that beast that I put in the links down below in the description text, I'm going to probably end up buying one of those and replacing mine. That thing is a beast. Very nice. So now we're just going to loosen this down. And as you can see, you see how much narrower? Look at that. I'm going to have to modify. I'm going to have to actually turn this bracket so that it's this way and that the bolts are spread out further to go through here. So let me go ahead and start doing that, and we'll be right back with you. Even with this bracket, it's just a little short. So how am I going to solve that problem? I have to have this kind of bracket because it has to go over, it has to have that hole, and it has to go up into there like that. And those screws have to be hanging down so they can come up through here, and I can put the nut on it. It almost fits, but I just need a skosh more. Okay, so we're outside here. I got a piece of wood that I carry around for stuff just like this. So come on up here, Joanie, and let's show them what I'm doing. You can see that this is the wider orientation of this bracket, and remember we just put the screw here and here, but it still was not wide enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out and I'm going to drill right out here and out here. I'm basically going to be elongating or drilling another hole because I only need to gain a little bit. But if I just started drilling right here, more than likely that drill is going to drift. So I'm going to take a little center punch here, and I'm going to put a little dimple right there and come on over into this corner right here and put a little dimple right there and drill. And I think that should do it. So let's go back in and see if this works. Okay, so what we did is we drilled out those holes and it almost fit. So I went ahead and made the holes a little bit bigger, just a little bit. And then can you see how that's bent just a little bit? I kind of just gave it a little bit of a bend, and now this bracket fits right in there. Look at that. So like I said, you know, when you're working on these DIY jobs on RVs, sometimes it goes smooth Most of the time it doesn't. Their regular mounting screw, I was like, where's the mounting screw that they wanted to, how were they expecting us to do this? Well, this is what they gave us. It comes with 2 screws, and their way of mounting this was just to put it right through the hole here and screwing it right into the wood. But you can see here, this is not very solid, and I don't want that to be what I look at the bottom of this fixture. I wanted those nice brushed nickel caps on there, and that's why I wanted to reuse this bracket. Okay, so now we have the bracket. It's nice and tight. Here's our new spread out mounting screws, or mounting bolts or studs, whatever you want to call them. And we've eliminated, this is the only 2 wires we have. This white wire is going to go to this white wire, and this black wire on the switch is going to go to the yellow wire. But if you remember, we cut those off flush with our snips. You see these little pliers right here? And it'll snip, look at that. It clips it right off for you. I'm actually going to go back a little bit further and grab a little bit more of that plastic. Now again, so I don't get shocked, I'll put that cap back on there. I'll go to the other wire and go in here and grab that. You see how that works there? You just kind of come back as far as you want to get, and then it snips it right off. This makes stripping wires so cool. I'll put these also in the links below in the description text. I didn't even think about that when I was preparing for this video, but these little stripping wire pliers are it just makes this kind of stuff so easy. All right, so now we've got the wires cut. I had to get this up higher so I can sit here and have it stable and work on the wiring. So we have the white wire here. We undo this white wire nut, put these together. As you can tell, I didn't get shocked. Why? Because I'm not touching both of these wires at the same time. Here's the other black wire switch. This black wire goes to the yellow wire, remember? So we're going to take this wire nut off, put those 2 wires together, put the wire nut over that, and twist that on. And bingo, there is how you wire up the new lamp. I thought I'd go ahead and give you one more little step before we button this all up and push the wires up there and everything. I thought, let's test this first. And so we did. We left it right where it was, and we got our 921 bulbs and stuck them up in here, and they work great. Now, of course, we don't have the globes on yet. Okay, we still need to put those on. But one thing about the 921 bulbs, sometimes you'll put these in and you'll stick them up in there and they won't work. It's like, what the heck happened? On 921s with this kind of little fitting, you see that kind of fitting? If it won't work in one orientation, turn it 180 degrees and put it up in there. And you'll feel it snap. Okay? So that's a little tip there. All right, so we have it wired. We know that the switch works. They go on, they off. Everything's good. All we need to do now is put it all up in there and button it up. Okay, so we've got this all buttoned up. I got the wires pushed up through that hole. And you can see the orientation. I put the switch to the front. If I would have turned this around, the switch would have been back here. So I wanted to make sure that the switch was up front. And you can see that they work fine. Now, the comment I want to make here is that when we first pulled down this old unit, remember all those wires coming down there? But we really only needed 2 of them. We needed the white and the yellow. And then looked at the newer unit and compared it with how it was wired to the older unit, and it was quite obvious what wire had to go to which one. Then we had to strip off the new wires, put wire nuts on them, push them up in there. We did have to modify the bracket. The bracket was not quite wide enough, so we had to go out, we had to drill some holes, spread those bolts out some more to where it would come through on the bracket here. So again, when you're doing stuff like this with an RV, sometimes you have to be creative, modify a little bit to make it work, but there you go. So let's put on these globes. Okay, so here you go. The glass bulbs are on here, the LEDs are on, everything is working. We once had this compared to this. I really like this look. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to replace the same wall unit over here that matches this, only it'll be vertical. Okay, so we've got the rear one also installed. I had to remove the bracket off the wall just like I did on that one. Had to drill 2 new holes so that they would be orientated on the side, because the old fixture had the bolts top and bottom. But again, when you're doing these upgrades and mods and stuff like this, that's pretty much expected. Let's take a look back on how this looks now. So if you look here, I just really, really love the black accent and how it also matches the black trim around the windows. This particular color of a bulb, this is a warm light. This is probably about a 28 Kelvin, maybe a 32 Kelvin bulb. And that's what we have down here in our other lights above here. We like that kind of a warm light underneath where we eat and where we watch TV. So what I plan on doing on the links is I'm going to give you some suggestions and some links to different kinds of bulbs, but feel free to buy whatever color temperature that you like. But anyway, I love, love, love the single wall mount, and I love, love, love the one over the table. And this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. You know, I will be the first to admit that mechanically, I can fix just about anything. But electrically, I'm still learning. And I have contacts that I get a hold of if I get into something a little bit more complicated that's way above my pay grade. But this was not one of those electrical jobs that's that difficult. I actually did have to look at that wiring coming out of the cabinet area, and I had to kind of figure it out. Which switch wire should go to what, which wire to go to the lamps and so forth. So it's not like I had this all, I knew exactly what I was doing. I had to figure it out, but it wasn't hard, as you saw. I really appreciate you guys watching these videos. Hopefully this will inspire you to do some interior lighting upgrades in your coach or your RV. If you liked this video, if this helped you, you liked it, give me a like down there and let me know that you liked it. And don't forget, links to all this stuff are right below in the description text. Just go up there where it says show more, click it, drop down, the links are right there. Anyway, give me your comments. If you have tackled something like this, share with everybody here on maybe some better tricks, some better things to do. It's all about learning and sharing, guys, right? So anyway, until next time, this is RV Street. Stick around.